Intense rainfall in Poland carries a real risk of flooding. The residents of southern Poland are in the most difficult situation, although the tragic scenario of 1997 should not occur again. Fighting the elements always raises fear. Many areas have been affected by flooding, and firefighters in the Territorial Defense Force have rushed to help. The toughest fight awaits Lower Silesia and the Opole region. In the Karkonoski National Park, all hiking trails have been closed. The situation has been monitored by our reporters since early this morning. This is what the previously quiet streams in the Karkonoski National Park look like today. The same is true in many mountain areas where trails have been closed to tourists. This enormous amount of water that is falling in the mountains, which at some point falls with great speed and force, falls on the trails and just flies down, which also causes mudslides. According to the Institute of Meteorology and Water Management, a level 3 flood threat has been issued for the Lower Silesian, Opole, Silesian, and Lesser Poland voivodeships. The next few hours will be decisive. The situation in the south of the Silesian voivodeship looks most crisis-ridden. Rainfall totals for the coming night of up to 120 liters per square meter are possible. This is Głuchołazy in the Opole area, where firefighters evacuated about 400 residents. Reaching Głuchołazy here, I saw water spilled in the fields. In many places, firefighters are working. Residents are trying to secure possessions to save what they can from the water. The situation is particularly difficult in the Kłodzko Valley. Water has flooded Lądek-Zdrój, and residents of other towns, including Bar, are preparing to evacuate. These forecasts that are being shown today say unequivocally that people need to be evacuated. These are nevertheless mountainous and sub-mountainous regions. Here the rivers behave a little differently than in the lowlands. There are flash floods. They can change their level from hour to hour. As always, our firefighters are up to the task, including volunteer firefighters, who in recent years have been given modern equipment specifically for dealing with such situations. Those battling the elements in the Głuchołazy are being joined by firefighters from the Mazovia region. The water special company of 30 firefighters was directed to the site. With the firefighters shoulder to shoulder stood soldiers from the Territorial Defense Forces, who once again showed that they are always ready to help. We monitor, keep residents informed. Also, at 3 points, residents have the opportunity to obtain sandbags. The reason for this year's flooding is the Genoese low, passing through southern Poland. Meteorologists predict that the weather will improve next week. There are many indications that despite earlier concerns, there will not be a repeat of the 1997 floods. The highest flood alert. 30 rivers are threatened to overflow. Up to 164 towns may be underwater. 63,000 households without electricity. This is the current situation in the Czech Republic. Where possible, authorities have ordered evacuations. I'm afraid of what will happen next because it's raining non-stop. Huge lakes have already formed. We have to be prepared for the worst. Vishnova municipality, right on the border with Poland, cut off from the world. In other border villages, Mikulov and Czeska Wieś, firefighters are taking people to safety by boat. Some residents have refused to leave their homes. Unfortunately, we are struggling with high water and further rises in river levels not seen here for 50 or even 100 years are forecast. The country's capital, Prague, is preparing for the onslaught of the elements. Firefighters are building dams to protect residents and the historic part of the city. We recommend that cities cancel all public events. Residents are advised to stay indoors and not to walk in forests or parks due to the strong winds that are also expected. Unfortunately, the forecast for the coming hours is not good. Heavy rains are expected to fall throughout the weekend. And this is Galati, Romania, where entire settlements have gone underwater. Here the situation is dramatic. The water was rising at such a rate that people fled to the roofs of their houses. 4 people have died. Downpours covered 8 districts of the country. Roads are closed and trees have fallen. The destruction is enormous. People have nothing to return to. Everything is devastated. The whole first floor of the apartment, the furniture. We have nothing left. Many countries in our region are already struggling with the effects of the floods or are just preparing for them. Romania and Croatia have already had the worst of it. In Germany, the biggest downpours are yet to come. Austrians are looking at the Danube River basin with concern. The swollen rivers could threaten Salzburg, among other cities.
150 bis 200 Liter.
Up to 200 liters of water per square meter may fall between today and Sunday, so we expect serious problems. The Genoese low-pressure system named Boris has not spared Slovenia either. This is the bridge over the Neblo River, which went underwater in just 3 hours. Services in countries in our part of Europe are appealing not to underestimate weather alerts and to be extra cautious. Against breaking the law and attacking values, the Stop Patowładz demonstration, in English meaning Stop the Corrupt Government, was organized by the Gazeta Polska clubs. What this government is doing at the moment is Bolshevism. There is only fear over this kind of Poland. I love my homeland, and I don't accept this lawlessness that is going on right now. Jarosław Kaczyński pointed out that the methods that offended human dignity used against imprisoned priests Michał Olszewski and ladies Urszula and Karolina are a symbol of the violation of basic rights by the authorities. Violation of the Constitution, violation of laws, violation of human rights, violation of all principles of a civilized state. The demonstration is a response to the words of Donald Tusk, who announced that he will continue to break the law with premeditation. Today we have the need to act in these terms of militant democracy. I mean, we'll probably make mistakes more than once, or we'll commit acts that, according to some legal authorities, will be out of line or not quite in line with the provisions of the law, but nothing relieves us of the obligation to act every day. Paradoxically, the current ruling team went to the elections with slogans of supposedly restoring the rule of law. Now it is outright violating that law in the absence of a response from EU institutions. Thanks to you, we know a lot. Because we would know nothing, everything would be concealed. This is a misgovernment, mess, and chaos. And now they will turn to foreigners to bring order to our country? This is terrible. The Tusk government was sworn in on December 13th of last year. Since then, the law and the constitution have been notoriously violated in Poland, from the illegal takeover of the public media to ignoring the office of the president and dismissing and appointing officials. We are here to show that we are not letting go. We are here to show that we are fighting. Whoever disagrees with this corrupt government, be it a single mother or a Catholic priest, no one will feel safe. In addition, the government announces a law that violates the independence of judges, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. At the demonstration, Law and Justice President Jarosław Kaczyński announced the start of collecting signatures for a referendum on relocation. We say no to relocation. A controversial situation occurred after the protest. Police stopped the car of Law and Justice President Jarosław Kaczyński, despite valid technical inspections and the fact that the car had been licensed for years. Today, the authorities suddenly seized the vehicle's registration certificate. The situation is scandalous. These are not random situations. The protest ended, but it was only an announcement that if those in power continue to blatantly violate the law, Poles will not stand still and will take to the streets if necessary. Łukasz Żmuda, Republika. The Netherlands has had enough. Under pressure from voters, new government announces radical reform of the asylum system. People are affected by the asylum crisis every day. Voters have given us a clear task. We must immediately change course and reduce the flow of migrants. That's why I'm proposing the toughest asylum policy ever. The new course is a safer Netherlands. The government intends to declare a state of emergency. This will limit the influx of immigrants without parliamentary approval. We cannot continue to endure such a large influx of migrants into our country. Therefore, we will soon put forward emergency measures with which we will tighten procedures and rules regarding incidental asylum and migration. Indefinite asylum is also to be abolished. The services will regularly check whether such protection is still needed in a given case. If not, they will send migrants back to their home countries. The government will send an official request to Brussels next week to make an exception for the Netherlands and exempt it from EU asylum and migration rules. Germany is also failing to cope with massive illegal immigration. Hence the decision to seal all land borders. Border controls return as early as Monday. Border guards in Germany know exactly who they are supposed to control. We clearly say that the borders should not be closed, but that they should be controlled. People without residency rights will no longer be allowed into Germany. EU citizens will still be allowed to enter Germany, but the reintroduction of controls will involve difficulties. Travelers, including Poles, must prepare for not only queues in front of the border, but also inspections of documents and even luggage. This effectively means the suspension of the Schengen zone. In my conversation with Chancellor Scholz, I stressed that the only way to stop illegal migration is to effectively control the external borders of the European Union, not internal ones. The Polish position is unchanged on this issue. Oh, changeable, and very much so. Because when the Law and Justice government was sealing the eastern border of the European Union, civic platform politicians sabotaged the work of Polish services, insulted soldiers, and Donald Tusk was an active supporter of the open borders policy pushed by Germany. These are poor people who are looking for their place on earth, and there is no need to make such disgusting, grim propaganda targeting migrants, because these are people who need help. Today, not only the Polish right wing, but almost all of Europe knows that this was a political lie. These people come here to do nothing, in most cases because you can't generalize, but in most cases they come here for social benefits. They don't integrate.